Apprentices this year is quite expensive. Okay. I can't say what I'm paying because Mickey will kill me. That's what I'm paying.
I know what you're paying.
You do not. I got Mickey drunk tonight. I met you.
I got him drunk one night and I heard the deal.
So I'm here to do the impossible, which is to introduce the woman who needs no introduction. So I'm going to do my best. Before I do that, let me assure you that you're absolutely all in the right place. In an hour's time here, Ross Lewis from Chapter 1 will be demonstrating third game. At 2 o'clock, my wife Sally with Jared Talty from Spanish Point Sea Vegetables will be talking about sea vegetables, seaweeds, and giving you a taste, if you're here, of some of the most extraordinary chocolates you'll eat in your entire life, made for us down in West Cork. So, and in addition to that, for those of you, if you haven't been up as yet to the market area, let me show you that it is simply incredible. You know, if you go back a couple of generations, an awful lot of wild foods were very familiar to our grandparents, and in 2 generations they've largely disappeared. You can track this out of simple things like the availability now of hair. It's extremely difficult to get wild hair. 40, 50 years ago, they were commonplace.
I love for my palate to be awakened by something that is from the grower, from the field, from the soil, from the grower, and where I can celebrate the picture of the person growing it and making it when I have it in my glass. And it's important to think back on the people in the fields, because it's a very human business. And just not consume a wine as a glossy bottle. Always try and remember people behind it, because there always will be people behind
it. This is an old traditional method of fishing for salmon. They have records going back to the 1300s with the monks up in Jarpaint Abbey. And carried on, it's very little change with it since. So with the snap net, you catch 1 fish at a time. When a salmon hits it, you take 1 arm length at the bottom rope and then pull the 2 of them in together. And when you take in 1 arm length, you're closing the net. Once you close nets, hence the name snap net, then you pull both sides in evenly and take out your salmon out of it. If it's a trout, you take out your trout. If it's something small or whatever, it's back out over the side.
For any of you who are collecting wild watercress, incredibly nutritious, very important after the winter, all of these greens to cleanse the blood and everything as well. So the watercress, the top leaf is always the biggest, and the leaves get smaller as they go down along. Wild celery grows side by side with it all the time, and it's the opposite way around. So just remember that the watercress, the top leaf, is the biggest.
And you could also talk about, say, pheasant, where pheasant, you know, has been not domesticated, but you know, pheasant is maintained and it is fed, and its flavour has become much milder than the pheasant that is kind of flying around and has never seen captivity or been fed. And similarly, you know, if you were to feed a chicken on a wild diet, you would probably get a flavour profile close to what we know now as a pheasant, okay?
But one of the key points about smoking is, right, it's like anything, the lower the temperature of the burn, right, the greater the off gases. So if you were say trying to have an incinerator in Dublin city centre, you would tell everybody, oh sure, listen, we'll be burning at this temperature. Sorry, this one. So there'll be nothing coming out the top of the chimney, we burn at such a high temperature, right? But what we're actually trying to do in terms of meat, particularly in terms of this, what we're going to taste now, we want to keep the burn temperature down as low as possible so we get as many off gases, because all we're burning is wood. Yeah.
I think that, I mean, what is unique as well about the bird world is that it's usually that the male is the more colourful. So it's a bit like, you know.
It's the same with us.
It's a bit like, you know,
These
the
are
old
two
one.
males here.
It's a bit like.
I'm Ross and myself, that's 4, right? And this is the female attire.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit like the old one when the horse walks into the bar and he orders the drink and the barman says, "What's with the long face?" And he says, "Long-term evolutionary pressures," you know. So,
bee venom is something nobody ever talks much about. But at the present time, there's huge research going on for the treatment of multiple sclerosis and rheumatism and arthritis. And you very seldom meet a beekeeper with rheumatism or arthritis. They are hereditary, you see. And what happens is, if they're in your genes, you're likely, if somebody belonging to you had rheumatoid arthritis, you're likely to get it as well. So the idea would be to take up beekeeping. And a lot of people do. It's amazing the number of members we have who had history of rheumatism or arthritis. They joined for that reason.
You find that when people first go out looking for mushrooms, I mean, we've had it where we have groups and there's someone going around wondering, you know, there's no mushrooms around here, I can't find any mushrooms here, where are the mushrooms, you know? They're not easy to see, and in season you've got to relax and you've got to get in tune with what's around you. And you can see here there's a mushroom in the middle of the screen and how easily it fits into the camouflage of the leaves. And as you close in on that, you can see it's a nice edible birch foliage.
We have to be very protective of harvesting wild foods. On the wild&slow.com website, all these templates are there for you, they're free of charge, there's loads of recipes, but there's also a do's and don'ts, and there's a sustainable method of harvesting. If we go along and rape and pillage the countryside, we're going to have no wild foods for next year. Man does not propagate the seeds. The seeds are propagated by nature. So I think the golden rule would be, well, you can pick a third for yourself, leave a third for the birds, and leave a third for nature to propagate the following year. And for that reason, you'll be able to come back year after year and get a free harvest.
So one of the things about this whole weekend, and particularly if you're up, you know, at the food stalls in the village, is to really take a walk on the wild side. There's some amazing things up there. There are girls up there selling a cough potion in which they have pounded pine needles, all to make your little throat better. I mean, is that TLC or what? You know, it's just amazing.